and just being good to one another.
People at the top collaborate, and the people that are at the bottom compete.
Find yourself, be happy, and good things will happen.
Justice for Taco Bell.
It was everywhere.
Which I've come close to freezing to death a couple times. That one's super pleasant.
What?
Are you serious?
It can't hurt walking around in life thinking that you're the man.
Yeah. You guys are doing a good thing here. This is very good.
I genuinely love this conversation.
I love the Motive Podcast.
Welcome back to the Motive Podcast. I'm your host, Leo Kosuch. Alongside me is my co-host, Kyle Cohen. And joining us today, we had a very special guest, a local artist in the area, Mr. Nick Myers. Thanks for coming, Nick.
What is up, guys? Thank you for having me.
100%. We
Excited to have you.
Yeah, Christian connected with with us last week. We had him on the pod. Go listen to the pod. Awesome episode.
Can concur.
But so we also met you that fateful night on the street.
Featured on
The Motive interviews.
5 for 5.
5 for
There you
5.
go.
5 for 5.
Undefeated.
It was
Undefeated.
hilarious. You and your boy like jumping up for the high five. You were running around, bro.
Dude,
I had me dying.
that has me laughing, and the sound effects that you guys put on the video. It's like the little.
Like I put like a little like bubble pop when you guys jumped up and high five.
It's perfect. It's so cool. I dig that.
So so you grew up in Westchester, correct?
Grew up in Westchester. Born and raised. I went to elementary school at Westtown Thornberry for a while. Then Glen Acres in like the middle of 5th grade, and then from there went to Fugate, and then graduated from East High School. So
There you go.
Sick.
East alumni.
The full.
What year I gotta ask?
2014.
Okay.
2014. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were talking off camera, so you know a former guest, Chris Rafter.
Yes. I knew Chris. I've known Chris, like I said, since middle school. Known him since I guess so 6th grade. Again, we've crossed paths just throughout life and different journeys and trials and tribulations. That's how I was familiar with you guys. I had seen his episode. So again, I just kept following along. But yeah, Chris, cool dude. Really great to see what he's doing. If you're not familiar, Chris Rafter, check him out. Spotify,
Check him out.
SoundCloud, all that stuff.
Motive Podcast as well.
Yes,
him
and check
on
out
there.
his episode on the Motive Podcast. So yeah, Chris is a cool dude. Like I said, it's really cool to see what he's doing. We've gotten enough trouble.
I was just gonna say, I remember him telling us he was a troublemaker. Were you part of any of that shenanigans?
From time to time, for sure. We definitely had our fun. I think we had our fun until it wasn't fun. But I think again that's what's so cool, and makes it that much better to see again what he's doing and how well he's doing, and kind of being able to chase his passion too. I think that's like we were always kind of different a little bit, always a little unique, and I think that at the end of the day is kind of the key. That's kind of part of the recipe, and now that he's able to kind of find his own sound and do his own thing, you're able to see that shine. So
Yeah,
cool.
100%.
It's pretty cool.
You were saying you did music for a bit too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, now I do a lot of visual art, but that was my first love and my first passion. My parents, they always were just listening to music, so that kind of just was ingrained in me.
What was the kind of stuff they were listening to that I guess started your love for music?
So when my mom had me, it was funny. She kind of started listening to country music, and when I was younger, was not a fan. I was like,
Right.
But when I got older, right, I had found all her old cassettes and stuff like that. So she was listening to TLC and John B, even Warren G, stuff like that. My dad, my uncles, my aunts, they were really into a lot of R&B, a lot of soul, a lot of hip hop for sure. So a huge mix, different kinds of music. But I'm also an only child, so that for me, music was always just something that I always had. So yeah, I'm a big music fan. Like I said, my uncle, he's a musician, and he kind of introduced me to production and making music. So I think I made my first beat when I was 12.
That's sick.
And it's funny because I remember sending it on you have your WCASD dot whatever
your
school email, yeah.
Yep.
And I remember I used to go down there in the summer, and I would send it to my friends on my school email, when they get back to school or whatever, if they check this, cool, they'll be able to see my beats that I made. So yeah, music that's like my first love always. Yeah, I love music.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like I said, when I first came down, that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, yo, is this Logic
Yeah.
that you record into? Yeah, I seen that. I'm like, yeah, cool. You got Music Maker as well.
Yes, sir.
So that's very cool.
100%. Like speaking of school with the art and music, did you do any like art classes or music classes in school, stuff like that?
So, no, I was in band in like 4th, 5th grade, and 6th grade. So I did that, and then following that, I think I was just in like chorus, and then like chorale or whatever that we had.
Yeah.
But as far as like training or anything like that for art or music, not really. I spent a year at Maryland, University of Maryland. And there, like, I took some different music classes. That was just, like, music culture stuff. And that was super cool because I got to learn a lot about not only just, like, American history of culture and stuff, but also we had, like, another semester where I was just introduced to things around the world and sounds and stuff that I, like, would never have, came across. And admittedly, those were definitely my best classes because I think I love music and I was interested in those. But yeah, other than that, no, not really. I love art. I love music. So I just spend a lot of time, I think, studying just other people,
Yeah.
and just kind of studying the game and learning as I go.
Yeah, 100%. So no like actual art like painting classes?
No.
Yeah.
I started painting about like 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And when I got into it, I was doing like a lot of acrylic pour paints. This was like right at the end of kind of the pandemic, so I think I was just spending time, just a creative outlet, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. It's just a great way, like for me personally, just to like express myself. I always say that my art's kind of like my journal, so it's
There you go.
just me pouring into that, and then people started posting it, and I realized that other people were getting emotional reaction to it, and not only did I like creating it, but the fact that I was able to bring joy to other people, and they're able to interpret it how they do. I just really dove into it, but everything that I've done, it's YouTube University. YouTube
Yeah.
University, yeah. That I would say that's kind of really been the biggest thing for me, and just people in the community and trying to learn from just the people that I'm around. But yeah, no art school, no art classes. No, I would love to though. I
Yeah.
think that no matter what you do and however it is, I think that getting any sort of education, any knowledge, that's powerful.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's more valuable than you can realize. Like, not even the thing itself, but actually learning something, challenging your brain another way. So
100%, it you changes your perspective on things. Just again, the way your brain works and being able to also just accomplish things. I think that's just huge with anything in life, no matter what, whether you're going in the gym or you're working towards a promotion or whatever it is, you're learning a new language. Like being able to challenge yourself and prove at the end that you can do it. I think that's huge. So I totally concur with that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, for me personally, art was probably the most brutal class I've ever taken.
I'm right there with you.
I think Kyle was in my art class, right?
I was. We were like a year or two in middle school.
I think Kyle had to watch me almost fail art. I'm not even lying. I feel
this dude would find a way to get some crazy low grades in middle school art.
and I swear it was I was I put something down on a paper. It was like, yo, beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, buddy. I drew a line on the paper. Can that be my grade?
And honestly, I think that's what can be kind of a turnoff, I think, for some people, even in the art world. And that's something that I'm kind of working towards, and I try to stay true. Again, I haven't had any art classes, but I make art, and I think my art is cool. Other people enjoy it, and there's really nobody that I think can tell you what is good art and what is bad art. I really try to encourage anybody that has a desire to create stuff to just do it. because it can be very weird, like how you can critique art and stuff
Right.
like that. Like you
Yeah.
said, everybody has different perspectives on things, and different things that move them versus others. So yeah, that's kind of like you said. How do you get low grades in art?
I know, bro. There was this one time I just remember in like elementary school art, like, I was just brutal. I mean, it was just brutal for me. Like, all right, you had your fun because it's like you and like your boys like all not having a singular idea how to do it. But like I just remember there was a specific project. It was at the end of like 5th grade, and it was like these woven baskets.
I remember that. Which is crazy.
How could you forget?
Yeah, how could
And it
I
was
forget?
like it's like we spent like 4 months just like tying string
It
around
was
the
like 5th
basket.
grade too.
Yeah, it's like the end of your
with
elementary.
it's like the rope, and you like,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
You probably did it too. You're in the
100%.
district. This is
You said you'll never forget. You're right. Dude. Mine's blue and silk gray.
No, you remember the
Yeah,
color
I
too,
literally
it's
remember.
crazy.
Mine was just a mat. I think it's like a pot holder or something. But
Yeah.
the basket, that's next level, dude. You were kind of like elevating.
This has been, I guess this has been in the district for God knows how long. We got to get whoever started
I
this
hope
in the
it's still
district.
going. I hope.
Yeah,
I
I really-
mean, actually,
Do
do
I-
we hope it's?
I
still
feel like it's a
going?
character building
It's a-
experience. It
yeah.
needs to be going.
Maybe, I'm sure they have the reasons behind it. Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe
I mean,
we gotta
what great
change
artist
that.
hasn't gone through that?
Maybe maybe we'll change that, dude. We'll talk to some people, and maybe we can get some more fun art classes, so the next generation doesn't have to just wrap string around baskets. But
Yeah, like, yeah. And then we finished. It's like, all right, we're gonna come into class today. Oh, guess what we're doing? Just keep going like this. That's the class.
Yeah, well,
So
but-
anyway, we get to the end of the year. It's like, all right, we're finally at elementary school. So then this kid like had like a bunch of the guys like over. We all brought our baskets, just tossed them in the fire. Bro. It was so
but that's a
fun.
core memory that you have.
Exactly,
So you gotta
exactly.
be grateful for that.
100%.
Celebration in a way.
See, so I mentioned this off camera. We were talking about high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like people. So I was telling them about like we're going to senior year. Got to take it in as much as I can, which I've been trying to do in general the past year or two. But just like I feel like people hate on high school too much. Like just like people our age, like our peers,
Yeah.
they don't realize how good of a time it actually is. And like we were talking about how just like living in the moment. You gotta live in the moment because in 5th grade, making those baskets, we were living right in that moment. We remember that. We remember that thing.
And you remember that, and I think that's so true. And again, like that's a great time in your life, and I think there's a lot of pressures. You're trying to figure out what you're doing, and I think it's easy for people to get ahead of themselves, and it's school. It's almost like it's cool to not like school. But again, like I said, knowledge is powerful. So anytime you're able to learn, that's a benefit, and I think something that I've even realized as I've gotten older, like we're very grateful for the schools that we went to, in the area that we live in and the education that we're able to get. So I do think that it's, you want to take advantage of that. And I also think like, again, that's the last time, like, not that you don't have any responsibilities, but like, your life is fun. And I think that's so cool. And something that like my Gammy would always say to me, even all the way into her old age, she's just like, you're always going to have like your memories. No matter what, like that's what you're going to be able to look back onto, and that's the stuff that's going to make you smile, as you go on in life. So you got to absolutely cherish those times, try to take advantage of it. Cause those are good with the boys, like hanging out with the boys, like, you know what I mean? And just doing goofy stuff and, trying to stay out of trouble and stuff. Like it's cool. And it's also an exciting time cause you're getting ready to go on to your next chapter and people are getting ready to grow. So
Yeah, I mean, there's not many places in the world where you can watch someone run out of the bathroom with a stall door. That is something.
what?
That is something I witnessed in school today. I just.
What?
Or this,
When?
this is not today. This past year, bro.
You witnessed
That's
that? I
wild.
didn't. How have you not told me about that before?
I swear
That's
everyone
correct.
knows about
High
this.
With a
school-
stall door?
I'm sitting in the hallway, and I just see someone. Just a door to the bathroom in hand, just walks out and runs by me. I'm just like you can't even say anything.
That's
It's a
like that's the
wild
ultimate
time.
devious lick that I guess is making a comeback. That was this year.
It was this year.
Okay.
And if I told you who it was, you'd totally believe it.
I hope
Oh,
they got,
I know
I
this
hope
person
they got
is.
it replaced.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
I mean,
Well, here's the thing. So then I like went in that bathroom like towards the end of the year, and that door was being used as a roof Like it was sitting on top of the door was
Again,
still
when
open. It
el-
was just on top.
when else in life are you gonna be able to do that and experience that? And like there would be
Character
no
building. That's
character-
all it is.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, I totally agree, man. You gotta just said it, enjoy that time, embrace it, make those memories with your friends.
It's all about like like character building, being in a situation where you can be thrown into so many different just like not multi-part complicated situations, but just so you can just face yourself with so many different things, no matter what it may be, and
For
you just
sure.
have to make the decision what you want to do.
You gotta stay
What
on
do
your
you see that?
toes. Absolutely, absolutely.
Like I mean, gym class. I mean, you could just keep naming them. There's so much.
Oh boy.
But going back into art, so like, is there any like, so you're more like modern, like street art, right? Like that type of vibe.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely I do a lot of spray paint. I do a lot of acrylic painting. I don't like. Sometimes I'll go in with a plan for sure, but again, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of like my journal for me. It's just a way to express. So a lot of the times I'm just using whatever's in the studio with me, whatever's around, and just kind of, really I'm having fun, again, and that's something that's cool, and I'm grateful to like have the opportunity and be able to do that and just create. Damn, I just super blanked. Ask me, repeat that question.
Just like
That's him once an
I
episode.
Yeah,
knew that was
that's
gonna
me every
happen.
episode.
Like at least once. It happens.
Yeah,
it happens to the best of
it
us.
happens to you all the time.
It's once an episode for me.
Oh, style. That's what it was. Style. You asked me about street art. So, again, with myself, like, I've only been painting for 2.5 years, and I think, like, that's a very short time in the grand scheme of things. And that's something I also, like, say to people, and I encourage them that, if you're doing and you're chasing something and you're trying to pursue, like, your passions, like, it's going to take time, but, like, enjoy that. You know what I mean? Enjoy it and just keep after it. If you don't quit, like, you can't lose.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Just, like, bet on yourself. But, so, again, I like to try stuff out. I want to experiment with it. I know a lot of artists who they have a very unique style and they stick with that. And, I think that's a cool approach as well. But I never want to get like stuck in only making art a certain way. If I feel this way a certain day, I want to do that. I want to try it. I think that's also how you like make cool stuff. I think that's how you get cool things. You're gonna make stuff that's not that cool. Some of it's gonna work, some of it's not gonna work. And hopefully, like I said, at the end, you make some pretty cool creations that have never been there before. I think that's what's cool about art. Like, you literally even with this podcast, like these conversations, these ideas, these people, like the thoughts that you guys have wasn't there before you guys decided to have a podcast, and you sit down, and now you're able to, encapsulate that and archive it, and now, people can learn from that and take it on. So, again, creation is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, without
sure.
a doubt. Is there like, have you been to any like art museums that you find like sick? Because I mean, a lot of them are like more like romantic. I mean, I'm not gonna try to act like I know the art periods, but like all those different periods of art. Like I've been to a couple like.
Come on, AP Euro should have
museums.
taught you.
Well, I mean, you got the Renaissance artists. All right, there's one. That's a high
name
five.
one.
There you
That's a
go.
high five.
Boom.
Name one, and then I'll high five you.
I mean, Leonardo.
Here's the thing, right?
Leonardo da Vinci. Was he or was he not a Renaissance artist?
He was,
Thank
but
you.
it's just the way you said that. 'cause that picture
Leonardo,
was like 2 or 3
Michelangelo,
Leonardos.
Donatello, and what's the other Ninja Turtle? They're all Renaissance. All right.
I'll give you a high five for that. There you go.
There you go.
There
He
you
got redemption points on
There you
that.
go.
And what's funny, like, I couldn't tell you any of those people either. I have no idea. Somebody asked me the other day who my favorite artist was, and me. Like,
Van Gogh.
me. Like, I'm my favorite artist. I went to, and I don't even remember the name. I want to say just the National Museum of Art.
The
In
National
Washington.
Gallery. I think
And-
it's still the National Gallery, isn't it?
It might be in
Where was
D.C.
it? DC. Okay.
It's the Smithsonian one.
I believe so. They have so many down there. There's so many. But I went to that not too long ago, and it was cool. And I think also like it was kind of inspiring to me because, again, I'm not like a trained artist. I think I make weird stuff. I like that it's weird. Again, I think it's unique. But when you go to like this art gallery and you see the stuff that's in these museums, like it's captivating, you know what I mean? And again, it's like it brings emotion to you. But it's weird too a lot of the times, and it's not perfect, you know. And I think that was kind of like inspiring just for myself, because I'm like, okay, you see these weird paintings again, you see this goofy stuff, and they're in a museum, so
Yeah.
that's, you know, that is there. Because I think traditionally, like like you said, there's like this Renaissance period, and even in Westchester, and I art is art, and I respect everybody who creates. And I think even like basket weaving, right, there's people that is stimulating to them, and you know, they love that, and they're probably able to make really cool stuff with that. Like
I guess
my
the Westchester area school district person really likes that.
yeah, maybe, you know what I mean? But you know, you in town there was all these galleries, and you have a lot of like portraits, and you have a lot of these like landscapes and stuff like that. And again, not that it's cool, and like that takes a lot of talent. But recently, and there's a new gallery that just opened up called The Corner that I've displayed at, and they do like monthly shows. And again, they're really kind of fronting and bringing in like a new culture with the art, where again, I think that younger crowds, I think that all different people, all different backgrounds, and all different cultures can find something that they enjoy in it, and that's cool. And again, it's not you just walking around a museum like looking at these portraits of like old people and stuff like that. You can see, you know, stuff that's cool, stuff that makes you think, stuff that you're like, yo, I don't know what this person was thinking, but like, you know, it's kind of cool. And I think again, art should hopefully invigorate thought, you know what I mean, promote that in people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to, I think I've been to like 2 art museums. I went to the Barnes. Are you familiar?
Yeah, absolutely.
I went to that back in February. Obviously, super cool story about how he was a private collector and kept his art.
Yeah.
Do you know the story at all, Kyle? So it was a private collector in Marion.
What's it called?
It's called the Barnes. Barnes. So
Yeah, there's like the Barnes Foundation.
yeah, the
and-
Barnes Foundation.
Okay.
So basically, it was this guy, something Barnes. I don't know his first name. We're gonna call him Michael
After the
Neither.
store, like
Barnes.
Barnes and Noble.
No,
No, is that really that?
that was a
weird
good
of a-
try. That was a
Is
good
that
try.
really that? Weird? I was just
Good try.
curious. Like,
Maybe
So-
we have to research
like,
that.
I don't think that's that crazy of a.
All right.
a thing
That's
to
what you guys
say.
need. You need like they have on Joe Rogan, the dude that just sits in the background.
Jamie.
And Jamie, exactly.
Well,
just
No, I don't know why I said that. Like, it's like books. Like, why am I?
When we first started the podcast, we had someone that was like gonna do that for us,
oh, that'd be cool.
and then we were like,
Oh yeah, someone just.
it's probably not the most exciting job.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
But,
find someone that's passionate, that's
yeah.
down to support.
Yeah. At that point, we could not afford to pay them.
It's a passion project.
Exactly. So,
No,
but
but
just continue
so
with this- with-
the
with-
Barnes, it was this guy in Marion, PA, which is right outside of Philly. He
Okay.
had this huge private collection in his house, like millions on millions of dollars of famous art, like the Renaissance painters, Romantic painters. So anyway, when he died, and like this is like all 20th century. This is in the last 100 years. So when he died, and like I don't know if it was like the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. I don't. It was some.
give a little quick
Yeah,
research.
I'll see. Where did Barnes Foundation? Let's see.
When he died, what all of his art
Because
went to the
I'm
foundation.
pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, they have like a school as well, and I think they do like scholarships and stuff like that.
There you go. It was Albert Barnes.
Albert
Okay.
Barnes.
Albert Einstein comes up. Makes sense.
He died in 1951.
Okay. And then what after he died, all
So,
of his art went to
so-
foundation? Like
No,
all
so it was very controversial. That's the whole thing. So once he died, he had all this art, millions and millions of dollars, and he was like very, very quirky and particular on how his art was displayed, right? So in his will, like before he died, they were trying to get him to like sign stuff, like donate it once he passes away, to like, because it's one of the best collections in the world and it was private. So like they were trying to get him to sign once he passed away to donate it, and he wouldn't sign it. So he died basically without signing anything. So he was on his deathbed knowing that no one was going to take his art. And so they made a big movie about this. There's a documentary about it.
Really?
I haven't watched it, but
And this is
so
right around here, which is crazy.
yeah, so he died thinking that his art, and basically somewhere on the way through leaps and holes and talking with the family and everything, they finally made a deal where they could display his art to the public. But so if you go to the Barnes Museum in Philly, every single room in the museum is exactly how it was in his house. So the wall color, everything. So
That must have been the deal. Part of the deal.
that was the deal, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed it exactly. So they basically like replicated his house and in this museum and moved his art to this museum eventually. So if you walk through it, it's like just like walking through his house, which is crazy.
That's pretty sick. I haven't been there personally, but I've heard that it's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, that was cool. And then I went to another. I guess it was like the first art museum I went to, like 2 New Year's of 22 and the 23. I was out in LA and I went to the Broad. It was like a modern art museum, and that was
Okay,
like
cool.
really cool.
That's
I
cool.
enjoyed that, like, because the modern art stuff is just like, when I was at the Barnes, it's like very cool because it's like historical, but the modern
Right.
art thing is like just like it's like just cool, and there's a bunch. It's
what
very
even is
bright.
modern art these days? Like I don't even know. Like what is?
Ask the man himself.
Yeah, what even is modern?
I mean, I
art?
think a lot of like pop art, a lot of, dude, it's bright colors, a lot of graffiti. I think it's funny too. Like it's very hard to. Like, how do you necessarily define it? I would
Right.
say modern art, right, would be anything what's modern, right? Like modern's right now.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like
That could be
anything
like a time
pop
frame.
culture wise, you mean? Like kind of like that?
Right? Yeah, definitely.
There's
I
like
think-
electronical stuff and art in this museum, like stuff like that too.
Okay.
I was just gonna pull up some pictures. Like they have like one of these. Do you know what are they called? Do you know
Uh,
these things?
Is that like a Cause doll or?
No, it's like a very specific artist he's made like a few of these bubble, and of course
Is
it's
it like the bubble dogs? They look like bubble balloons.
they
and
look like
stuff?
the balloons.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I know
those are
he's like
pretty sick.
super infamous.
Yeah.
So like they had one of those there. I saw like a bunch of like cool like bright structures.
I was gonna say it's a lot of like bright colors. I feel like
this was an art piece, a giant table. Like see, that's a person. They had that there.
and
Like,
that
just-
stuff
it's
like
cool.
That's what I like to write, and I think like it makes your brain kind of question things. It
Doesn't
makes your
even
brain
make
good.
sense. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
exactly, and it
that's-
doesn't make sense. And I like that's something that I always try to do with my art. It's like I want to make people think, and again, like without having any training and not going to school, and almost feeling like, having like there's barriers to get into it. I don't want there to ever be like there's no definition to like what art has to be. You
Right.
know what I mean? And I think
I would say
too.
most people would agree with you who are artists too. So
I would hope so. And I think again it depends. There's some people that they go to school and like there's a very specific way that they're trained. I think for me too, it's almost like a character test, right? And you do something really weird in art, or maybe like there's an error, and it might be very obvious. And to me, I'm like, if you stare at a piece of art and you just are like noticing the quote unquote obvious errors, I'm like, you are looking at the wrong things. Like not only just in this, but like probably your perspective in life. Like, I think there like what's wrong or what's different or what's weird, like that can be very obvious to like point out, but to actually like kind of look a little bit deeper, hopefully, into yourself and like, okay, what do you like about it? Why don't you like it? Maybe like just because you don't like it doesn't mean, that it's wrong or vice versa. So I think always just challenging kind of people to, again, like open their perspective, open their mind up, and think in different ways. Like you said, that you're like that table is huge. You know what I mean? Like it's cool, and it just kind of makes your mind like you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
yeah.
100%. What's like a daily schedule for you look like?
A daily schedule for me. So I'm actually about to start a new job. So I'm not a full-time artist, not yet. I spend so much time painting, so I'm about to start a new job, and I'm gonna be working like overnights. And what that will like allow me to do is then paint during the day and be available for like art events. But typically right now, I'd say I wake up in the morning. I'm usually like a pretty early riser. I like being up early. That's like peaceful. You know what I mean? The world is still like sleeping, and you're just kind of already shaking and baking. I try to get a workout in. That's definitely like just important to me. That helps me clear my mind. I always feel like once I get that accomplished, like, all right, cool, that's successful. And from there, like I'm always painting, like I said. So whether right now I'm working on really big, like a canopy tent, this like 10 by 15 tent
There you go.
for a buddy of mine. Yeah, shout out Pete the barber. So I'm making this tent for his barbershop, the hair collection. And so that's been most of my days for like the past 2 weeks. So I'll paint, eat, usually try and do like some, marketing, something, like that, and whatever I need to do. If I'm like filming videos of me painting, which that's something that I definitely need to get like better at and trying to grow with. I also think that when I'm just like making stuff, I'm painting or whatever, usually like the camera is the last thing that like I'm thinking about, you know what I mean, when I'm just kind of flowing. And I don't know, every day's different. You know what I mean? Every day's different. I'd say my mornings are usually pretty typical, and I try to make, again, those things are important to me. Again, my health, again, the painting, the art, that always takes priority. And then, the afternoons is kind of whatever, what needs to get done. This past 2 months has been, like, super busy. The summertime is really cool because I get to do a lot of outdoor events. There's a lot of, music events going on, so I'll do a lot of vending for those, and that's cool, getting to bring my art out, getting to just like experience different types of events, different types of music, getting to meet people and connect, and I think that's been the coolest part about the art for me, is being able to make those connections like with people and getting to relate to people. So spent a lot of time just preparing for those. It was like you said earlier, dude, you're unpacking your bags and then you're repacking your stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Like I said, I asked myself, I'm like, dude, I know I love it, because if not, like, you'd just be crazy, like, to do it. You know what I mean? But it's awesome. I get a lot of, again, enjoyment out of it. So, but that's
sick. If you had to put, I'm sure this is hard for you to gauge, but how many hours a week you think you paint? Just out of curiosity, like.
Oh man, that's really tough.
Do you paint more than 5 hours a day?
Depending on the day.
Okay.
Depending on the day, and I think too, there's other aspects of it, like besides painting. So I may not actually physically be painting. Like today, I spent a lot of time tracing this logo. You know what I mean? And sometimes like stuff like that is not always the most fun part of the process, but like it's part of it. I would definitely say I spend a majority of my time creating, in one way or another. But you still like, look, you see my watch is just covered in paint. My shoes are covered in paint. Like, I don't know. I just always have paint on me, like, all the time. And it's something that's like, it's kind of constant, where I'll walk down in the studio, and if I have ideas or whatever, and I have a canvas or something that I'm working on, boom, I might get sucked in for an hour or two or whatever. I might just throw something on it as I'm walking out the door. Like it really depends. It's very sporadic, but I definitely would say I paint every day, for sure. Sure. And I love it, I mean, I enjoy that, so I try and spend as much time painting. I find myself being out and be like, I wish I was just home, like, painting. You know what I mean? Like, you asked me earlier if I spent a lot of time in town, and again, town's awesome, and it's cool. Definitely like to go out, spend time, with friends, go to restaurants. But a lot of the times, like, after dinner, I'm like, all right, guys, I'm going back. I'm going back to the studio. The wheels are always spinning. So yeah.
That's cool. I guess my only thought is, like, you ever find a weird balance though? Because it seems like so free flowing, like when you paint, right?
Yeah.
But like also, like, how do you have, I guess, a discipline in that? Because in the way that is like almost your craft, right? Like you can't just like be like, oh, I don't feel like it for 7 days straight. I feel like Now I guess you love it, so you won't really
for sure
have that. But
I think one is you're gonna get times where, like I said, the creative flow is different, and I think that's when it's important to like find one listen to yourself. I'd say that listen to yourself, and you can't force things, and sometimes you do need to get a break. I think that's how you can kind of keep yourself from getting burnt out. Two, I think again there's other ways to create, and again part of art and part of hopefully becoming like a full-time artist is that there's also other business aspects to it. There's other part of it, and you make art and you want people to see it. So on those days where maybe again you're not just cranking out paint, like, okay, cool, like you said, you got to have that discipline to, again, maybe this is a day that we are looking for events that we can do. Maybe this is a day that maybe we're just might not be working on a canvas, but again, you're just kind of practicing. You're just drawing stuff. Because you want to stay on it. You want to stay sharp. But it's not, I'll be honest, I don't really find myself getting in too many moods where I feel like I can't paint anything.
It's
You
like
know?
a part of your life and thoughts almost, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
said it's your journal, right? Like
I was
some people who like really like to journal, like they couldn't go a week without journaling. Like, come on.
you,
that's
you
me.
wouldn't go a week without it, and I think too it's if it's an expression of you, like something that I've really like learned and I've had to lean into is that like there's no bad art. One, it's an experience, right? And again, some maybe more people will like it than others, but if you kind of go into it with a certain expected outcome, like every time, you're gonna have like a hard time, I think, creating. You gotta flow with it. You gotta, know that it's gonna be, again, it's gonna be a different experience every time. But I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. I knew it was gonna happen.
Totally good.
Take me back, because I had a good point. I had something on my mind that I was gonna say.
We were lost in the sauce there. I was enjoying it.
Damn, I know, bro. I was flowing. Dang, and I was gonna say earlier I had needed a counter on how many times I cursed, because so far I've been at 0, but I just slipped one time.
No,
But
you're
that's
good.
It's
okay.
all right. A lot better than some other guests we've had.
I was like making a conscious effort too. I was like, I'm not gonna, which actually has been easier than I thought. Oh, so what I was gonna say is that, right, on the days that you don't feel like painting, right, like just put something on the canvas. If you're just like having a bad day and you're mad and like you just literally want to just like
It's like chucking
Mindlessly do
just
stuff.
just
Yeah.
do that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because I think that's when you would like more so get into a slump. Where again, like if you're having a day and you're high energy and you're like, yo, I don't really know that I'm gonna be able to sit down and crank out like this super detailed or focused work. Then like don't,
Yeah.
like just I think that's part of that helps you flow. Again, I think creating is an experience, and I think that's in anything you do. And obviously like. Yes, there are bad things in life, but really everything is going to be on your perspective, and how you look at it and how you want to learn from it. So again, it's just an experience. So I don't really, it's not that hard to paint. You know what I mean? I think you paint.
You just do it.
paint. Yeah, and I don't think, there has to be that much pressure on it. I think that's what's cool about it too. And again, like the business side of it, right, is where like cool, you have to be like pretty on point. And I think in that case there are certain things that you maybe need to do like so a right way, or there is somewhat of a formula. But as far as like the creating, it should be fun. Like, you're making art, and I really hope and I encourage anybody, no matter what you're doing, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's podcast, whether it's business, if you love sales and that's what gets you going, like hopefully you're doing something that's fun, where again you wake up most days and you're excited to do what you want to do. I think that helps you avoid getting burned out and stuff. Like you're on 81 episodes, 82 now, right?
82.
You love it. You have to. You
Right.
like it,
Yeah.
Yep, without a doubt. Yeah, you're talking about the journal. I mean, I journal every day, and I know a
Do
ton
you
of
actually? I didn't even know you did it every day
really.
like that.
No, I
I
thought
don't think you
so.
do.
I have every single day since October of freshman year journaled. So like literally every
Dude,
single
that's
day.
actually a round of applause. for
So,
that. That's actually
That's
but like,
sick.
so
impressive.
That's really cool.
It used to be like it definitely used to be more of like an OCD thing. Like now I wouldn't care. Like now I don't have to journal every day, but like freshman and sophomore year, it would be like I just had to like if someone said something like really like, say if I got like a really nice like compliment or something like that, I'm like, bro, like I can't just have this in my mind. Like I have to write this
gotta
down.
get
or
it
something.
out.
So like stuff like that, but obviously it goes both ways. But like I just remember freshman year, I was like really like way too OCD with it, because like Kyle, I would go in between period to period, and I like literally I would write like a paragraph about what happened and what everyone said in just first period, and I'd get to the end of the day, I'd have like so many like
That's like anxiety almost.
no, I have every, so like freshman year, I think I have like every period of every day written down.
Did
It's
it
like
work
it's
for you, though?
insane to go back. What?
to like help? Like, do you think that
I
it
mean,
worked?
I
and it helped?
guess.
Because that's all that matters at the end of the day.
It wasn't
I feel like
necessarily
maybe
about.
that was too much anxiety, too much like.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't think it was an anxiety thing. It was just me, like, I was never anxious about it per se. It was just I really wanted to document
Right.
stuff.
And when I
'cause-
think about it right now, you document stuff right now.
exactly, I feel like there was never any, like, I don't think I've ever been an anxious person per se. I feel like I've just been dedicated. So it was really just like, I want to document this. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
But I used to write way too much. But now, yeah. So now I can go back. I can go back to like literally every single day of high school, give or take. I have written down. I can be like, oh, we started the pod. What did this person say about the pod when we started it? Oh, 2 years later, oh, they said something totally different about the pod. Like I literally have good and
So I
bad
kept the
and
receipts.
names. Exactly.
I got the
We got
receipts.
the receipts of exactly what you said and when.
Yeah,
No,
no,
but
and
it's actually insane.
that's really like I think that's cool. And again, for like that's probably just something. That's how your brain works, and I think that you like have to tap into that, you know. And like if again you like documenting stuff and you want to get things down, like then do that. You know what I mean? Again, and now here you are later on, and you're still doing it, and it's growing. You know what I mean? And now other people are also getting to see the stuff you document. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's dope.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll publish the diaries one day. When the
Dude.
Motive Pod goes to the moon.
Dude, yeah, you'll have a sick documentary. You know what I mean? You've got all these clips and everything.
There'd have to be a lot of cutting out of that journal, just
Oh,
for insane stuff. Because like I'll write down like think about like stuff that like I don't want to say names, but like me and someone would joke about, like that stuff is definitely in the show.
You gotta
Your
edit it. We gotta
true-
edit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
there'd be a lot of
unfiltered
edits.
self is in there, and
It's so
that's
geeks.
probably not always the best for society. But then again, that was it for anybody.
Exactly.
True. Well, okay. I don't
That's
wanna
why
say
it's
that.
your journal, you know?
Yeah, it's your journal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think journaling's great. Journaling's great. I just recently got my brother sent me a journal that my half brother sent me a journal and it's like a guided journal.
Yeah,
So,
like has like prompts.
Yeah, and that's been cool because sometimes like I'm not always as consistent with it. I could take a page out of your book, but that's just like help. It's easy, boom, cool. I see it, whatever. I can write that down. And I think that's cool. There's so many like my dad used to always say growing up, like your thoughts, all your emotions, it's like bricks putting in a backpack, and it's like if you don't ever get those out, like that just kind of becomes heavy. you know? So
Yeah.
you gotta get
Very
that out.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I think one thing that I think about with painting or any kind of art for me that's hard is like we talked about us being like really bad, in middle school art and whatever. I just feel like I never had a way for me to physically express like on like a canvas with like actual mediums in that way. Like I feel like I'd be more writing and like things like that.
And that might be your outlet.
But like I don't even know like how like if I want to start like painting or drawing or something like that, like how would I even start? Like I feel like me personally, like
So by
Color by
buying
number.
paint,
what'd you say?
Color by number.
color by number, that is a way. That's a thing for sure. I know a lot of people, and again, that's like people's brains work differently. Some people love just like that focus of
I could get locked into some color by number.
yeah, you know what I mean, just like zoning out. Dude, I would say if you wanted to start painting, just literally go to the store and just buy some paints. And it doesn't matter, I don't think, what kinds. I remember I met this girl when I like first started painting, and I think in my mind I had like an idea if there was like some super magical like artist store or something, and like she was showing me her work, and she like was at the point where she could have been a full-time artist, and I'm like, so where do you get all your stuff? And she's like, at Michael's or like at Walmart or wherever, like they have paint and stuff. So
Found some secret stash or something.
yeah,
But
no, and I'm like, no, it's just like she just puts paint on a canvas. I also think there's some cool workshops. The Chester County Art Association, they have some workshops. Again, I mentioned the Corner Gallery, they host some different workshops. There's a lady, Rachel, she runs Shy Fox Studios, and she does like pour painting classes.
Shout out Rachel.
Shout out Rachel, Shy Fox Studio. She's really cool. She makes some incredible art, and that's a great way to get into it. She does pour painting workshops, so you go out there, she'll walk you through everything, has the supplies. And
Isn't there like the Plato's palette or something like that? It's like I I feel like there's definitely one where you can like. There's places where you can like. It's like a social hour, but you get together and paint. I mean, there's so many stuff.
Yeah,
like,
there's a
bunch of
couple
stuff like
different
that.
ones. There's like painted plate in Westchester, and that one you like paint like ceramics and stuff. I think.
I swear, if I totally just mess that up, I swear it's like could be a clothes store too.
Maybe,
Might be totally
you like
wrong.
mix like Plato's closet and the painted
Yes,
plate.
exactly. That's what. Okay, now I definitely messed it up. God.
Plato's
Wait,
palette
wait,
with the
I
painted
swear.
plate. And
Please tell
maybe
me-
it is. There
please-
could be.
Pinto's palette.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
and that's
it was
probably
close.
like I think is that like a
Where'd you get
like a
Play-Doh from though?
is that like a
Plato's
paint and
closet,
sip?
probably. What?
Is that like a paint and sip type thing?
Yeah.
Like drink like
Yeah,
wine.
yeah. No, they like wine and
You drink that cheap wine and paint.
paint. Yeah, and they like usually have like an instructor.
Da Vinci was sipping on that authentic stuff. That's why his
What'd you just
paintings
say?
are better.
Who?
Da Vinci.
Oh, this is Davidian.
Straight from the just like Tom Dashoff, straight from the
Straight
grave.
from the
Hasn't even fermented
freshly
yet.
stomped in the back.
Fresh.
Oh, but yeah. Kyle, I'd love to just come down to your basement one day and just see you.
Just
Post it up like Bob Ross with
Yeah.
the
Oh yeah, like the
What's
what
it
do you call
called?
that? What do you call it? Like,
uh,
like you know the thing Bob Ross has, like the stereotypical thing that
This is
you
like a
hold
common
your- put
term.
your paint
Palette?
on.
is it a
It's
palette?
just called a palette.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, like a painter's
Bro,
palette.
you know what I'll get? Like I've seen. I can't say I watch them a lot. I was gonna say I'm like hooked on them. I'm not hooked on them, but it's just like when I see them, it's very satisfying. It's like, have you seen the ones on TikTok? It's like a white canvas, like Instagram. I see them on, and it's like they have like two just like paint colors, and then they like mix it. It's like 90-10. What color does it make?
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yes,
And it's like
yes.
80-20, and it's like two colors, and they mix them, bro. That stuff
This
is
is
so
fun for you to,
satisfying.
like guess and
Crazy.
satisfy.
It's just like, and then they have these like outrageous names for like every single color.
Yeah. What's nuts too is like you see the people that do like the color matching, and they're able to just like they'll have a paint swatch, have completely different colors, and they start mixing it up and get it to the exact like perfect color to match it. That's pretty insane.
Yep.
Because it comes from like that. I don't know how to do that stuff. So that's pretty like impressive. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool art stuff online. You see some wild stuff with paint.
Yeah, and then you can get into like the cool, like the crazy stuff, like people like making art out of like burnt toast. Have you seen that type of stuff?
Dude,
like
there's some
bullet
weird mediums now.
casings.
Pancake art and all kinds
There's
of stuff.
everything.
You brought me to an idea though, because I just had a conversation with my buddy today, and we're gonna be turning one of the rooms hopefully in his gym, his space that he has, into like a studio gallery, and we were talking about some workshops. So I'm gonna host a workshop for people who've how do I make art for the first time, and we'll set something up. So now I got the wheel spinning, because I think anybody can create. You know, the only thing that really makes you an artist is like the desire to create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you know, like you said, you know, if your medium is like writing and stuff like that, you know, that's art. Whether it's, you know, storytelling books, or, you know, if
Yeah.
you're writing scripts or writing music.
I guess art could be what, just like any kind of expression, really.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And I think that's something too, like, I don't think that people realize even how much that, like, art is everywhere, and that people, like, appreciate art. But, you know, somebody, like, design how your car looks. Somebody design the way your clothes look. Like, somebody design, there's a reason that this fabric and this couch is the way. And, like, somebody put their thought into that, and for whatever reason. And again, that matters. Like, you bought this couch for some reason, you know, and part of that is how it looks and the design of it. And again, same with your clothes. So
Yeah.
kind of like art's everywhere.
Yeah,
you know what I
it
mean?
is.
It's
Yeah.
really
Probably
all-
way more than we can realize.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's all about that perspective and living in the moment. What
Yeah.
can I say?
Perspective is a powerful thing. I have
There's-
to say, I've been
yeah.
more awoken to that recently. Just being like, oh, like 6 months ago, I had this perspective on this thing, and I never thought it would change. But then I went through A, B, and C, and then now it's like, oh, I
Right.
think completely differently on this subject.
And I think that's like
Really
cool
broad
that
way of
you're
explaining it.
allowed to, that you allow yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Because like hopefully in life you will change and your perspectives will grow, you know.
Right.
And I think if you're like you get stuck in your old ways, or even if you're not able to like look at yourself accountably with accountability, then you won't be able to change those perspectives, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if you can't think like, oh, maybe in the past I was wrong, then like you'll never be able to get to your right, you know, or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Perspective's huge, man, and that's something that I'm very big on. And as much as like art is my medium that I use right now, I think my biggest like art is a vessel for the message for me. Because it's all about gratitude, and I say it all the time. You see it, I have it on my hat, I have it tattooed on me, but like, woke up, you won. If you woke up, you won. And that's my motto, that I live by that, and essentially that's just having gratitude.
Yeah.
And having gratitude, not only just for being alive, but for all the experiences, everything, things, that you're able to learn from and that help you grow, the good, what you perceive as the bad. Like, again, it's all how you view things in life. And I think it's almost lazy, right, to like think negatively. I think that's so easy. It's very easy.
I like that.
It's very easy to walk into a room and be like, oh, this is wrong, or again,
Like,
this
be
is
that
off.
guy pointing out the wrong in art.
Like, right, like, it's kind of like, okay, good for you, like, you found the obvious, but like, that also, it's like costly over time. Like, hate costs. That's draining to be able to actually.
It drains your personality, your mind, your heart.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
if
a
you're always
negativity
looking
that
for
you just don't need.
It just always is.
It is, and like, I've always found in my life and like in my personal experiences, it just has never served me.
Right.
And like, the opposite has, trying to being grateful and having a positive outlook and just moving like out of love, like no matter what, you know what I mean? I think a lot of people move out of like fear, and I don't even think that, like, you're bad people, but they're just like, they're fearful, and there's a lot of, hate, and you have bad energy. But when you flip it around and you move out of love and you just have faith in yourself and, whatever, like, things are usually pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember when Fenton came on, we talked about.
Well, that's one of our friends, by the way.
Yeah, he said he had a quote that was like, everything's done out of fear or love. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Really?
It's like, it's either if you're scared of something, there's gonna be a reaction. If you love something, there's gonna be a reaction. So there's definitely some truth to that.
100%, and I like, the love is so much more powerful. You know what I mean? It's so much more powerful, and again, love is free. Like, I think that's human nature. That's human nature, I think, is to care, to be connected. Like, you want to look out for others. You want to see other people happy. Like, you see little kids and they run around and they're so innocent, and they do goofy stuff or whatever, but like, they don't know any better and they're just learning, exploring, but like, they're happy. They're fun. They don't care what you look like. They don't care how you sound like. They just want to be together. And
I feel like that comes back to like the present, because they're so in the present, because there's no.
You just said the president, bro. I was like, what? Like, how does that come back to politics? Like, what?
They're so in the present because they have nothing else to scale anything on.
There is
At all.
So there's I'd say that has to do with a crippling like anxiety that definitely this generation has too. Like, just not being in the moment. Like, you're always anxious for the next thing.
Yeah, and I feel like
that's
social media is definitely a part of that.
100%. And I feel like that's why like
It's
people who learn how to live in the moment can, I feel like, be just like little kids in that way, where there's nothing else to worry
100%.
about. They're just living in their moment right now and happy that they're there.
That's 100% right, because I feel like, yeah, like people are like, oh, everything was like better when you were a little kid. It's because you were in the
You were
moment.
there.
Like, I feel like
You were
it's
there.
that literally being in the present. Yeah, because you were there, right?
Yeah.
Because now, like, it's so easy to look forward to like plan out the next day, which you definitely, like, that's just gonna be a part of it. Like, you have to plan ahead, but just live in the present while you can do that.
Yeah, I think we're naturally just wired to live in the moment. So
Yeah, because with the social media, like, there's so much FOMO, right? The fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Because you can see, like, you can be sitting at your house and see 8 different people within, 10 minutes of you doing something without you that you could be a part of.
For sure.
So it creates that anxiety in the moment where instead of just accepting that you're not going to be there or something like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of, it's crazy, and I think, we had social media when I was in high school and growing up, but that was kind of more so in the beginning, like, stages of it, and it wasn't even as prevalent. But like, now there's like so much pressures, and I think that people put on themselves. And again, I love, like, the internet's great, and I think social media is a great tool. I'm able to connect
Exactly.
with so many people through my art. I know you guys are able to connect through
It's a
people.
tool.
It's a great tool, but it's also not real life. And I think too, what's interesting, and I've just found in my experiences, like, usually the people, you feel like you're having FOMO and it's, people are posting this all the time, but those people like aren't actually doing things, or they're
Right.
not doing things productive, you know what I mean? And that's kind of why they're showing you all the time, like, hey, look, I'm, this is what I'm doing, but like, there's actually like real life to be lived, and I think being in those moments are way more important, and way more beneficial to you. And making real life connections, using social media as a tool, but like, again, there's real life to be lived.
That's where it's like for us and for this pod, like we can sit in this basement and have one person in every single week, and everyone can love it on social media and text me and whatever, and we can get a ton of positive feedback. But like for game day, like I was telling you about our sports show, you're there in front of 1,000 people. We're interviewing people on the street in Westchester. Like once every single game day, or like even in Westchester, like there's for me, I don't know about Kyle, but for me, there's always a sense of like nerve, just like it's just natural.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
But like that's what makes. I mean, that's like any public performance or anything. But like it's just there's always nerves, and then you overcome it, and then it's just like seeing the positive feedback for the podcast go from online to then when I'm game day every other week or in Westchester. Like, bro, when you came up to me, you knew the pod. Makes me feel great.
Dude,
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, it's cool because I'm always down to support, and I find motivation myself and inspiration with anybody that is passionate about what they're doing. And that's, you guys, I see that you're consistent. And I think it's cool, and it's something that's positive, and you guys are young and you're doing your thing, so I commend you on that. And like you said, those nerves are normal, and that's part of it. And no matter what you do, some things are gonna come more natural to you, but like in the beginning, you're probably gonna be bad, even if like you're good compared to actually being like where you want to be. Like, you're not really good, but that's okay, because you got to start somewhere. You're gonna be nervous. Again, that's normal. Like, we're humans, but like you said, being able to overcome that, and then again, the feeling of being recognized and doing that, like, you wouldn't be able to feel that unless you face it. Everybody has that. I think everybody has fears. Again, that's natural. It's just overcoming that.
Yeah. And I feel like, so I have like 2 points. One is like, I heard someone saying like, people get so worked up over what you think people are going to say. Like what you just like, because people go in their minds so much, and we're all guilty of this to an extent, to just like, your mind gets working and gets so worked up about what people might say, not what they're going to say, but just what they could say, and your mind instantly goes to the worst.
Yep.
But in reality, they're not going to say that, and if they do say that, that means you have something pretty freaking great. You know what I mean?
Dude,
I saw someone say that.
If they're talking about you, like, you're making a wave, you're doing
Right.
something, and nobody that is like working as hard as you or harder than you, or nobody that's like accomplished more than you, is gonna look down and judge what you're doing.
100%.
The only people, it's the peanut gallery all the time. And I do, we've got to be open to taking like critiques and stuff like that, and being able to learn, but also you got to be wary where that comes from. You know what I mean? Because again, a lot of people they're gonna chirp, they're gonna say what they want to say, but you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then I was listening to a podcast, and someone just said like, you're gonna regret you're gonna have a lot more regrets on what you didn't do than what you did do. So it's like, all right, if you make a bad decision, I mean, you can look back and be like, oh, I made a horrible decision, and there's regret there, but like, you knew the outcome, that's case closed. You knew you did something and it happened. But if you didn't do something, that's where I feel like so much anxiety can derive from. If you want to harp on the past, which you have to live in the present too, but if you're gonna harp on the past, like you have to get things done and just go for it.
It's hard. It's harping on what you can't control, like the past, but
Right.
you can obviously control what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
So
Dude, 100%. I
Yeah.
totally agree, and that goes back to, again, like we were talking about with like the painting, and that just being an experience. And again, it's just like experiencing it and you're just putting it on there. You can't control. Again, just sitting there and being like nervous about the outcome and not painting is way worse. Like you want to just do it. if you mess it up and you don't like it, the technique, then again, you learn from it. But like having the regret of just not doing anything, and now it's just a blank canvas. Like, what's the, you know what I mean? What's the point of that? Like,
Yeah.
so you're totally right. You gotta go for things, and you'll learn. And you know, I know, like for myself, as I get older, you know what risks to take. You know what things are gonna be like maybe permanent and maybe that are not so much. But you have to take risks. Like for everything is a risk, because in order to grow, you're gonna need to do new things. You know, in order to get to the next level, now you're gonna be faced with something new. There's gonna be new challenges, new learning curves, and that's the goal, right? Like if you stay in your comfortable zone, then that means you're just staying where you're at. So like, you're gonna have to face those fears. It gets exciting too. You know, I've noticed, like I was saying, that this year I've really, like, fun for me has been a new kind of fun, and now fun is like facing those challenges. Like you said, you have those nerves, that's normal, and then you're kind of like, no, I know, like I'm almost in the right spot, like I'm in the zone because those nerves are hitting. And now, because you've put in work and because you have like consistent results, in the back of your mind you're like, I feel the nerves, but I also know that I can do this, and that builds your confidence. And then like boom, you overcome that challenge, and like then you feel like kind of badass. You know what I mean? You're like, like, word, I did that, and that's how you grow.
Yeah,
for sure.
A winner is just a loser who tried. Yeah.
Who kept trying. What's the quote, bro?
Well,
It was just like a winner is just a loser who kept trying.
Well, I always say, like, you can't lose if you don't quit. And you know, like, this game of life is long, you know, and hopefully it does go fast, but like it's a long life. So you take things, no losses, only lessons. You know, if it doesn't go the way that you wanted to the first time, and then also know, like, I feel like everything's for a reason. You know what I mean? And I found that, like, the things that don't work out lead you normally to something else, something even better. And as long as you kind of have that mindset, it's not like, oh, poor me, why didn't this work? Or again, I wanted it right now, blah blah blah. It's just like, okay, cool, really, that was just a guide to take me somewhere else, and you end up where you need to be. You know, that seems to be the case. That's what I have found.
Yeah.
Would you say, this is something I was thinking about, would you say as an artist that you're a deeply emotional person? Would you say?
Super.
I feel like there's some kind of there has to be some kind of connection, like the human experience just being like art and emotion. Like why else would we have the urge to create and express that way if we didn't feel deeply, you know, about things,
100%.
deeper than just a chemical reaction?
100%, and it's almost like I feel like I have to create in a way. Like I have to create because it's almost like I have so many emotions and I feel them so deeply that like they have to go somewhere.
Yeah,
they have to go
relate
somewhere.
to that. Yeah.
And like art it's been cool, man. It's taught me so much, like, about my life and like myself. And sometimes like it's hard to explain that, but again, like I even see it in my art, and I can see it. You know, my dad, he calls me out all the time, like, yo, I saw that, you know, painting you posted the other day, like, and he'll know the mood I'm in, like, kind of based on what it is, but like you got to get it out there, and I've got to express it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely an emotional person, and that's something that, again, you got to lean into. Like, we're humans.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something too, like, I encourage for men, and especially like young men, because I think that it's kind of, you know, it's taboo to like talk about how you feel, or it's taboo to express yourself. And being a human, like, doesn't make you weak. Like I said, and I find that when you do deal with your emotions and you're able to be honest and you're able to look at yourself and look introspectively, like, that is how you find the strength.
Pushing away your feelings doesn't mean they're not there.
They're still going to be there.
They're still there. I mean, you can't convince me that there's a human that's like just didn't have any emotions, and maybe they pushed it away so long where they've numbed themselves. But if they were to really slow down, they would realize like how deeply they do feel about things. I think every human just deeply feels. It's just a matter of how aware you are of it, and how in tune you are.
100%. 100%. And I think that's like, you're missing almost the beauty of life. You said you're just like trying to numb. Like if you're like numb, imagine if you're just numb all the time. Like literally, just actually were numb.
I
Like
think a lot of high schoolers, especially like guys, are like they don't feel anything.
Yeah,
They
we
when
talked
something
about
is
that a
bad,
lot.
they'll just push it away and fill it with something else.
And
you're not feeling anything. You're not even thinking. You're not even living, and you're just trying to fill
it's
it with
just
like
based
the constant,
on
like
fake. Like
addictions.
we
and
talked
whatever.
about it last week, just like the endless cycle, just like yeah, like you said, and specifically with high schoolers, like guys our age, like we see it very firsthand. Like we see people, unfortunately, just like, and it's so normalized. I think you would agree.
Yeah.
Just like, all right, let's go get wasted and drink and smoke and do whatever on a weekend.
for sure.
And then like also with like the relationships too. Like I'm sure you were thinking that like that's a big part of it too, because you can become so numb with that stuff when you're just hopping
so
around with
superficial.
other people just to feel like self-fulfilled, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
For sure, and I think it can be hard. You know, it can be hard to look at yourself, and I'll even like, you know, I can speak for myself specifically. Like, I've always been an emotional person, but I don't think that I always necessarily like listened to that or always wanted to accept it.
Yeah.
You know, and like when I was in high school, just you know, life stuff that was like happening. I think I was so sad, but like sad's not cool. You know what I mean? Sad's not cool, but
Yeah.
like maybe being angry is, or you know what I mean, or like being
Yeah.
wild, like that's what dudes do. You know what I mean? And that's like a
angry,
way
you're
you
saying?
just lean into
Yeah.
that and really, like you said, and you know, I know for myself, like personally, inside, like you just like hurt
Do you allow yourself to be sad now? You think?
for sure.
Yeah.
For
I think.
For
I mean,
sure.
I think if you just push it away and don't sit in your own feelings, you're never gonna heal or grow.
You have to, and that allows you to not be stuck in it as well. Because you know, I want to be sad like forever and just be like stay in that mode. No, but if I realize that I am sad, then that also like allows me to give myself what I need in that moment. You know, if I'm realizing that, you know, today, like, you know, I'm upset, or today, like, yeah, I'm on edge today or whatever. Like, okay, cool. What do I need to do to reel me back in? Because the other thing is that, like, you know, you are responsible for those emotions, you know, and we all have them. And I think we all can, it changes our demeanor, you know, based on what's going on. But if you're not in tune and you don't know why, like, you will end up not only causing yourself harm, but like others. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you're angry and you're just pushing that around, and then you're walking around and you don't know why, you know, you're snapping on your family, or you know why you're being, you know, you're being an ass to your friends and whatnot. And it's like you gotta deal with that stuff so you can get it out, and then that's also how you move on, you know, and get to the other
Yeah.
side of that.
And I feel like to relate that back to like the high school atmosphere, because we try to harp on that with people our age as much as we can with this platform.
For sure.
I feel like all those people that may be feeling that way are the people that are all together in one spot on a Friday or Saturday night. And I feel like it can be it like that becomes just such a toxic melting pot when you have all the people in that mindset come together, because then it just seems normal.
Absolutely, and I think it can sometimes, right, it can feel healing because one, maybe you can relate, and maybe you are going through similar struggles or whatever. But I think with that same thing, right, it's like if we are all going through these things, imagine if instead of escaping from it, instead of like all just going out and drinking together about it, like imagine if we sat down and we talked about it together. You know what I
100%.
mean?
Where's that openness with people?
Right.
Like I just think, and part of it is like just in general being the age of lacking emotional maturity, but it's also no like people. Like I feel like there's not enough people that lead you to believe that like it's okay to like actually talk about like those things. Like
For sure.
why not? Like why is that weak? Why is that frowned upon? For especially like you know young men too.
And I feel like within school that has been like brought to definitely the educational system's attention, but there's only so much you can do when you have a teacher that you can't relate to at all telling you, oh, it's okay to talk. Like, you know what I mean? Like you need to take self-initiative if you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
It-
Well, It is.
with
That's the hard
with
part
other
about
people.
it, right?
Yeah.
Sure,
That's the
and
hard part about
that's
it.
why, you know, and it's important and it's cool because, right, like you guys have a platform, you know, and that's something that you can champion. You know, that's something that I try to do, you know, myself, is be advocates for that. People only know like what they know, and something that, you know, I've always noticed, like I know, like I didn't even really know like my grandfather, right? And like so his relationship like with his dad, and again being emotional and expressing that, like non-existent. You know, with my dad, I've seen that then like it's gotten better, but still, again, he's from a different generation, and again, you know what you know, so like it didn't always maybe seem like normal or regular. But even as he's grown as a person, and now that as I've grown as a person, like I'm more in tune with it and more tapped into it. And I think the idea, right, is that like we try to pass that on, and we try and help teach that. Like if you want to create a culture, like the only way to do that is to be that, you know, and be that example. So I think it's cool that, you know, you guys advocate for that, and I think that you champion that. And right, you're not gonna be able to like quote unquote save everybody, but the best thing that you can do, and that I've like found for myself, is just be that example. You know,
Even if something sparks a thought in someone's mind, like just someone sees, and like I don't want to be like, and I'm not acting like like I don't want to be like, oh, look at us as the example. I'm not trying to say that at all.
But you can
I think
be.
at least people could slow down and think about it. That's I feel like that's all
Just
I could ask.
if someone's
know?
listening to this
For sure.
podcast right now, just having just a spark of a different perspective could just snowball into something else.
Oh,
Right.
dude, like 100%, and you have to be open to learning new things, you
Yeah.
know, and when you do that, the growth that you allow yourself is so awesome. You know what I mean? I think like life is full of so much stuff. There's so many different unique people, and so many different thoughts, and different cultures, and different everything. And if you're open to at least, like, not everything's going to be for you, you know what I'm saying? But like you said, if you're open to maybe having a different shift in perspective, like, you know, you
Things
might
happen.
like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like trying new food. Like, dude, you might take a bite of this and actually like it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, for sure. But no, I think that's cool, and I think you are an example of it, you know? And that's something that you can embrace too, like embrace that superpower. If it's for the people that it's not for, like I find it's not for them, and that's okay. But the people that resonate it, you know, there's probably somebody that's watching this that's like, yo, that's cool. And they'll be like, damn, I do want to talk about stuff, but it doesn't seem like it's cool. And maybe they'll feel like it is cool, you know, or they'll be inclined to do that. So
And then it starts
Slide in the
with
Motive Pod
us,
DMs.
like with bro.
yeah.
Slide in the Motive
Yeah,
Pod. I mean,
well,
honestly,
me
yeah,
and Kyle,
we
me and
could.
Kyle will
We're not like
love to have a
massive. We
convo
could
with
probably
you.
answer any DM anyone
Yeah.
have, you know, just like even if it's the most random thing
We're
ever.
here for you.
Yeah, we're here for you. We can be your third now.
We support.
Me and Kyle will take you out to a nice picnic in the park, and we can talk.
There we go. I'll bring
That
some
sounded
art. We'll
really
do some
fruity.
we'll do some art we'll do some art therapy. It'll be great.
Yep. Oh.
It'll be great, yo.
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
I think that's a great place to wrap this up.
I agree.
All right. Yo, before we leave too, also, I brought this for you guys. Which one is which? Oh, I got your names on it. Boom. This is for you, my
Dude,
man.
that's awesome.
This is for you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys for having me.
This is sick.
Support. I appreciate everything you're doing. So I had to get you, like I said, man. Woke up, you won. That is
Maybe if I'm not wearing it, it'll be on the wall. If it's
Say
not on
word.
the wall, I'll be wearing it.
Say word.
Because we like to put any gifts from guests we like to put on this wall.
Oh, say
So
sweet.
I'll either wear it around or it'll be on the wall.
Awesome.
Thank you very much,
Cool.
sir.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
it's
so
not
much.
my
It's so
pleasure.
nice
Like
of
I
you.
said, it's a woke up you won, and that's my my passion, and I really live by that, and I believe in it, and I think just keeping the gratitude it works for me. It might work for you. So, like I said, just gotta show love. So again, I appreciate you guys having me on here. This was cool. I enjoy this. Would do it again.
100%.
Yes, sir. Love to hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
man.
appreciate you coming on and just being open and honest and having a great conversation.
100%, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow the Motive Podcast. Check these guys out.
Nick Myers.
Follow at Myers Made It on Instagram. You can check me out also at myersmadeit.com. And yeah, if you
There you
woke up
go.
this morning, you won. Keep stacking wins. Love is free. The hate will cost.
Yeah, I said we gotta hit him with if you woke up, you won on 3 for the outro.
All right, ready?
I love it.
1, 2, 3.
If
If you woke up, you won.